You know what? I'll ask you this, Sean. Devin Haney, I know you have covered him a lot over the years. He's moving up to 140 to fight Prograis for the title. First of all, what do you make of that fight, and what do you make of the prospects of Devin Haney being a 140 pounder?
I think it's the right move, man, because no matter how much money was on the table, and no matter how much you may want to shut people up who thought you lost that Lomachenko fight, and that was a very close fight, not a robbery. I did score it 115, 113 for Loma, but I didn't think it was a robbery or anything like that. But I think it's the right move because you have to be 110% for the best fighters in the world, like Shakur Stevenson, Lomachenko, and Tank. And if you're 90%, 85%, it's a no-go. The money doesn't matter at that point. You're already making a lot of money no matter who you fight. So that can, and youth's on your side. Those fights aren't going anywhere. So go up to 140 where you're going to be strong. And after all the experiences you've had at 135, you're going to be a better fighter than ever, rehydrating at 140 pounds. And he's going after, Teofimo Lopez is the champion of the division. No doubt about that. But the green belt, the WBC always holds its own glamour. It always has its own distinction. Like Deontay Wilder, even when Deontay Wilder wasn't the ring or unified champion, he still had his own distinction holding that WBC crown.
Green belt.
Right, that green and gold belt. So go get that green and gold belt in your first fight at 140. Everybody knows and respects Regis. Yeah, he didn't look good against Zorrilla. But, Zorrilla was a couple steps above Karan Shukajyan level of fighting. We're not going to say he was Karan Shukajyan, but he was a couple steps above that. He was popping some left hands across Regis's face or right hand, whichever backhand he was. I can't remember if it was. I think it was he's southpaw, right? So no, orthodox fighter, right? Popping him with straight right hand. Mm-hmm. So, but it's the smart move because Devin needs to be at 100%. He's going to be at 100% at 140. He's fighting a respected champion for the green and gold belt. And I think there's a very smart order of events here for Devin Haney, I think. And it's fight Regis, then go, because this is the only fight you should take with Eddie Hearn. Much love to Eddie, but he's got Richardson Hitchens outside of Regis, and that's not a big fight. So win this belt, pluck that green belt off of Regis, go back to Arum for maybe 2 fights, and fight Lopez. Fight Lopez in a unification on pay-per-view, MGM, top-ranked pay-per-view. If you can win that fight, right, and I think he can with his jab and win a decision at 140, maybe have to get buzzed and get hurt a couple times, but he can win that fight by decision. It's a tough fight, very tough fight. But if he wins that fight, I think by that point, Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis will be at 140 pounds, and they will both. Tank is a superstar, in the making. He's a star ascending into superstardom, 1 million plus fights. And Shakur at that point will be a bigger star. And those fights will be bigger than they are right now at 135. And you'll actually be at 100%, unlike you are right now at 135. So if he could fight Regis, win this belt, go back to Arum, fight Tio, win that belt, become unified, he's going to command a bigger percentage in a negotiation against Shakur or against Tank than he could before. He'll be fighting at a weight that's comfortable. So I think it's the right move. Although in that scenario, there is a chance he skips out to 147 after beating Lopez and says goodbye to Tank and Shakur. But I think there would be so much money on the table for him and Tank at that point that they would do that fight. And that's why I say only take 2 fights or so with Arum so that you could be freed up to make a fight with PBC. Because we see how PBC did with Terrence Crawford. He inevitably had to sign over there to get the A-side spends. So if that's how they're going to do it, they're not going to do a cross-platform fight with Arum. Then beat Lopez if you can on Top Rank, and then go over to PBC and get much closer to a 50-50 split with Tank at 140 at a weight you're comfortable at. So that's the route I'm thinking for Devin Haney, in his perspective.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I mean, I haven't really thought about what
that's a lot of big, tough fights to win.
No. It's a lot that has to go perfect just to get to the point you're talking about. But I think if he does beat Regis, which is obviously you give Prograis respect as the credible champion he is, but Devin and Tio, I mean, in Vegas, that's going to be huge. I'm thinking about. I'm already foreseeing Bill Haney and Teofimo singing at the presser in my head, like how crazy those scenes are going to be. It's probably one of the best events in boxing.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll do good. It'll do solid number probably for top. I would, maybe 300,000 plus something like that. That's not really my thing, but I think it'll be a strong number because Lomachenko and Devin did good in terms of versus expectations. They sold out the MGM, and then I think on pay-per-view they probably did a little bit better than Top Rank was expecting. So I'm thinking Haney off the juice of that pay-per-view and then beats Regis. Him and Tio's a legit pay-per-view for the both of them. That's a great fight.
No, it is a great fight. But Sean, I know you're in the back.